The Haunted House on Blackwood Hill. On the outskirts of a quiet village stood an ancient mansion known as Blackwood Manor. For decades it had been abandoned, left to rot as vines claimed its once grand walls. Locals believed it was cursed, a place where the restless dead lingered, where those who entered never returned the same. Yet, like all legends, it attracted the curious and the foolhardy. One rainy evening, a group of 4 friends, Liam, Sarah, Emily, and Jake, decided to test their courage. They had heard the stories but didn't believe in ghosts. Armed with flashlights and smartphones, they made their way to Blackwood Manor, ready to explore what they thought was just an old, decrepit house. The moment they stepped onto the overgrown path leading to the front door, the wind howled unnaturally, carrying whispers that none of them could fully understand. Jake, the bravest of the group, laughed it off as wind through the trees. But Sarah, always sensitive to strange vibes, felt a chill run down her spine. As they approached the front door, Emily noticed something strange. The door, although massive and ancient, was slightly ajar, as if waiting for them to enter. Hesitating only for a moment, Liam pushed it open, revealing a dark hallway lit only by their flashlights. The air inside was thick with the scent of mildew and something else. Something far worse, like rotting meat. The floor creaked under their feet as they explored the house, their flashlights dancing over peeling wallpaper, broken furniture, and shattered mirrors. Every so often, the air would grow colder, and the friends would feel as if they were being watched. But there was no one there, just their footsteps echoing in the silence. As they ventured deeper, they found a staircase leading to the second floor. Despite Sarah's protests, the group ascended, the steps groaning under their weight. At the top, they discovered a long hallway lined with doors. Each door had a number scratched into the wood as if someone had desperately tried to leave a message. "Let's split up," Jake suggested, ignoring the fear in Sarah's eyes. "We'll cover more ground that way." Reluctantly, the group agreed. Liam and Jake took the left side of the hall, while Sarah and Emily took the right. As the pairs opened the doors, they found rooms filled with eerie relics of the past, dusty children's toys, broken chandeliers, and paintings of people whose eyes seemed to follow them. But as Emily entered one of the rooms, something strange happened. The door slammed shut behind her with a deafening bang. She screamed, pounding on the door as Sarah rushed to help her, but it wouldn't budge. From the other side, Emily's cries grew muffled, as if she was being pulled away. "Help me!" Emily shrieked, but her voice faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. Meanwhile, Jake and Liam heard the noise and ran back down the hallway, but it was too late. The door that had trapped Emily now stood wide open, but the room was empty. No sign of her, no trace she had ever been there. Panic set in. The remaining 3 frantically searched the room, but it was as if the house had swallowed her whole. Then from behind them, they heard a soft giggle, like that of a child. Turning around, they saw a shadowy figure at the end of the hallway, small, like a child, but its face was distorted, its eyes hollow. Suddenly the house came alive. The walls groaned, and the floorboards shifted, as if something was moving beneath them. Dark shadows crept along the ceiling, twisting into grotesque shapes that taunted the terrified group. "We need to get out of here," Liam shouted, grabbing Sarah's hand and dragging her toward the stairs. Jake followed, but the moment they reached the top of the staircase, it disappeared. The steps that had once been there were now nothing but a dark, endless pit. They were trapped. A door at the end of the hallway creaked open slowly, revealing a dimly lit room filled with old, tattered furniture. From the darkness, the same eerie childlike giggle echoed again. This time, it was closer. The three stood frozen, paralyzed by fear. Jake, shaking, moved toward the open door. "We have to go through, it's the only way," he whispered. But as soon as he stepped through the threshold, the door slammed shut, separating him from Liam and Sarah. They could hear his terrified screams from the other side, and then nothing. Now, only Liam and Sarah remained. Trembling, they backed away from the door, desperate to find another way out. But the house seemed to have other plans. The walls began to close in, the air thick with a suffocating darkness. Suddenly, the whispers they had heard earlier returned, louder now, almost deafening. "They're coming," Sarah whispered, her voice shaking. Liam looked around frantically, his flashlight flickering. The whispers grew closer, more urgent, and then from the shadows, figures began to emerge. They were pale, their faces twisted in torment, their hollow eyes fixed on the two survivors. Liam grabbed Sarah's hand, pulling her toward the nearest window, but the glass wouldn't break. The figures moved closer, their cold, dead hands reaching out, and then everything went black. A few months later, the story of Blackwood Manor reached paranormal investigators. An enthusiastic team led by a researcher named David arrived in the village. Unlike the four friends, they came prepared with advanced ghost hunting equipment and video cameras. The townsfolk, however, warned them of the fate of those who entered. Ignoring the warnings, the team made their way to Blackwood Manor one cold autumn night. As they approached, the manor loomed larger than life, its windows dark and soulless. David's team set up their equipment on the manor's front lawn, ready to document every strange occurrence. Hours passed with nothing happening, just the sound of the wind and the creaking of the old house. They decided to enter. The moment they crossed the threshold, their cameras started to malfunction. Static filled their screens, and their recording devices emitted strange, high-pitched noises. David, intrigued rather than frightened, pressed forward, guiding the group deeper into the mansion. They reached the second-floor hallway, the same place the four friends had vanished. The air grew colder, and a sudden gust of wind knocked over one of their cameras. A chill passed through the group, but David, determined, moved to open one of the numbered doors. Inside, the room was empty, except for a single child's toy sitting in the middle of the floor, a wooden doll. David reached out to pick it up, but the moment he touched it, the door slammed shut behind him. His team tried to force it open, but no amount of pushing or pulling made a difference. Just like Emily before him, David's cries grew muffled and then stopped. One by one, the team members vanished as they attempted to find David. The mansion's halls twisted and reshaped themselves, trapping the remaining members in an endless maze. When the sun rose the next morning, Blackwood Manor was as quiet as ever. The villagers found the team's van parked in front of the house, all of their equipment left behind. The house stood as it always had, waiting for its next visitors.